Hello and welcome to the Just Mates podcast, where we aim to destigmatise men not speaking up about mental health. Remember to follow our social pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Just Mates Pod. You can listen to and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor and Apple Podcast. All links are provided in the description. In today's episode, we discuss nutrition and eating disorders. So we kind of went with this because of maybe personal experiences, Sam, and people we know of, and I feel like it's more focused on within girls and women.
Yes.
But it's not really discussed much upon within men. And just quickly off the bat, one of the stats was that 25% of those people diagnosed with an eating disorder are male. Now, I know that's not as significant as female, but it's still a lot of people.
Well, yeah, if you put that into perspective, is there an actual number associated with that?
It just says a percentage. So,
no. Well, still,
British eating disorders.
Yeah, that's still like a lot of people.
Yeah, and we can't underestimate how many guys are suffering this, really.
Yeah, I don't know if it's how many is it 1 in 2 people get cancer? Is that the stats sort of thing?
And that's 50-50. So
yeah. And that's literally like 1 in 4 people, with are male with an eating disorder,
And that's quite significant.
Yeah, I think I put that right.
Maybe. Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, 25, 50, 75, 100. Quick maths.
Bloody terrible.
2 + 2 is 4. -1, that's 3. Quick maths.
Yeah. It's kind of a really weird one that we're talking about this today. I know we just spoke about this just before the call, but I'm going through a rough time at the moment, admittedly. And I spoke to you when I was speaking to you last night. I was like, Naf, have you ever seen Bridget Jones before?
I'm not. No.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I wouldn't have any. Yeah, but I don't really like the films that much, but it's quite funny. There's this scene where she's going through something, and she's in her room crying under a blanket, eating a tub of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's literally what I was like last night, but I had about 3 packets of cookies.
Just comfort eating, yeah. It's funny because do you know what? Every film reference I know of that there's that kind of comfort eating, it comes from a woman.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever seen Gossip Girl. I'm admitting to that I watched that. The girl called Blair, she used to do that. But every single reference I'm now thinking of, it's just a girl that's going through that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, would it be it's not masculine, is it, to just eat your way through things?
Within society, not really. But as I said about that stat, it also says that 33% of males used unhealthy behaviours to control weight. So that is again another trivial stat.
Well, what they find is, mate, I think you can either go one or two ways if you're kind of going through something at the time. So typically you can either become like a phoenix, you burn off the dead wood, sort of the feathers and stuff, and then you re-emerge into something entirely new. I think I spoke about that concept with you a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or what guys tend to do is, say they're going through a breakup or something, they'll kind of go back to their original self and go back to the bad habits that they used to do
and overindulge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, now just off of that, I'm just thinking this is also a good time to highlight that when sometimes people get in a relationship and a few months pass and they're happy and they comfort eat, there's also a different side to it. It's not always a negative thing, but I think the context of what we're talking about, we're trying to discuss how guys are dealing with their weight in an unhealthy way.
Yeah, I think with guys as well. I mean, I don't know about you, mate, because I think you're quite a good cook, aren't you?
Well, I probably could handle the kitchen.
See, I'm absolutely categorically dreadful. I'm saying that. I admitted it. I'm absolutely shit. And when I'm by myself, I'm just absolutely dreadful. I will not like this. I'll give you a little story of what happened at uni, right? So when I moved into uni, like my family knew I was absolutely useless with cooking. Like I could probably do like a fajita, and that's pretty much it. I could probably do like not even a full English, a half English if I was lucky. And like I would go to uni, and for the first year, mate, I was so fatigued. I was feeling so shit. I was so depressed, and I bet one of my best mates, Nathan, he was like, "Oh, just eat something, Sam," and I didn't even clock it. I was just eating crap because I couldn't cook. I was like eating crap out of tins and stuff. And then he made me some food. Basically, took me home to his mum's, and then she cooked me like an English, not full English. She just cooked me like a massive meal with like vegetables and like stuff. And my mood just picked right up.
It's a real food, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it made me realise like how important it is to get nutrients into your diet.
I think as well with this, it's a good point you mentioned, because a lot of guys don't have that skill set, and I'm not saying that you have to have it, but in this day and age, especially now, like we can't just rely on women to basically be cooking for us and our mums and dads. We need that skill set within us, because when we're independent and alone, we need to be able to rely on ourselves to feed ourselves. And if we can't do that, that's a basic skill, basic human skill. Yeah.
And I'm and I'm really, really guilty of this. Like really guilty. Like I'm much better at cooking now. I can do myself steak. I can do vegetable. I can do all of it now. But to be honest with you, like I picked up on it really young. Like not. I didn't pick it up really young. I picked on it like really quite late. I'm like 25 now.
Yeah.
And I probably only really started cooking properly when I was like 22. When that should have been happening when I was like 12, 13.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's. I'm not saying it's parents' faults, but I think guys especially just rely on their parents a lot more. I'm not saying it's always the mums either. Dads can cook as well. But when you're at home or your living arrangement is like from home, you rely on your parents or your older siblings to cook for you, and you don't know any other way. So I think just like a quick, maybe an advice for people, for guys especially, maybe just look into just picking up that. You don't want to be in a position where your lifestyle changes and you're on your own and you're relying on takeaways every day, because then that can develop into an eating disorder.
Well, I'll give you another little bit of insight as well, mate. Like, my mum can be a good cook, right? She when she properly does it, she can do a good job.
Big up Mumsy.
Big up Mumsy. But like, she just doesn't. I don't know what it is in her, bless her, but she just doesn't cook. Like she just never used to really do it. And growing up, she always used to get like microwave meals for me and takeaways and stuff, and then I would never really learn. Do you know what I mean? And in the long term, that kind of had like a really bad impact on me, because I would just be like, oh, I need to get a microwave meal then. You know what I mean? It was conditioned in me.
Yeah.
And then growing up and then having takeaways, and like I'm not really not blaming my mum for it at all, because I could have picked it off my own back and sorted it out, and I didn't, and that was my choice at the end of the day. But like, after you finish eating a microwave meal, or you finish eating a Chinese takeaway or some shit like that, I was just saying to you, like after the pod, like just before this pod, like you finish a McDonald's and you want to slit your wrists.
It's genuinely, it's because you're not getting the right things out of that meal. Like especially in fast food, they put whatever chemical it is to make you want more, and it makes you want to go back and not feel your hunger, really. I don't know what the chemical is called, but there's definitely stuff in there, and I think it's a fact as well.
I think it's the high concentration of sugar, mate, because you come crashing the down.
Yeah,
so hard.
But I think that with this being the topic, I think having a cooking skill yourself can help with your nutrition, and I know that within feeling depressed and being anxious about stuff, sometimes you don't even feel like cooking for yourself, even if you can, and then you just resort to takeaways. But at least have that skill set.
Yeah, and I think, and you probably heard this quite a bit, like cooking is actually, it depends what you're cooking really, but yeah, mate. Yeah, it can be. I find with me, like if I'm preparing something, it's like you're putting order in your head. It's like in your room sort of thing, and it can really help. But like, admittedly, like yesterday, I didn't really want to cook for myself. Like I just kind of was like, it, you know, I just sat in my room and ate absolute shit because, you know, and that it's okay. It's okay to do that, you know, once or twice if you're feeling really down. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think if you make a habit of that, which extends to, I don't know, longer than 7 days, then you really need to consider like maybe doing something else and actually cooking.
Yeah, I think for this case, yeah, a cooking skill to be able to cook for yourself is quite vital these days.
Yeah, it's completely overlooked, and I think guys especially, and I'm not like, and it's not to say that I've been like sexist in the past with like relying on my mum or relying on, you know, girlfriends to kind of cook for me or stuff, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, if you have got an inkling to think, oh, my partner or my mum will cook for me, you're just being an asshole.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we've got to take that responsibility on ourselves as guys as well.
Yeah, it's independence, really. Like.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, not everyone is going to be in a relationship or living at home. So when you are on your own and conform to that kind of environment where there isn't a female around,
yes,
you shouldn't be thinking, well, let me just get a takeaway then, kind of thing. I think that's the problem, really. But let's move on to maybe a type of disorder, really.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Which one?
Should we talk about anorexia, maybe?
Okay. I obviously this was a female, but I think I discussed this on a previous pod. I had so what's the relative called? It's not my cousin necessarily, but it's my mum's cousin. Is that what relative would that be?
Your mum's cousin.
Yeah, but like what?
I don't know, Sam. Your mum's cousin would be your second uncle or something.
Uncle?
I mean, second. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's a female. Anyway.
Oh, second auntie then. Sorry.
Second
I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. She had an anorexia for years. And sadly, this was like about 10, 12 years ago. I think it was about 10 years ago. She passed away from anorexia and stuff. And
she passed away from it?
Yeah, it got so bad that she was just, bless her, she just literally.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah,
it's okay. Like I wasn't really too close with it. I mean, like when I was a kid, like a baby and like a really, really, really young kid, like growing up, I used to go down and see her. She used to be lovely, but like it was almost as if, from memory, like no one just knew what to do.
Yeah, and how to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't give like a true representation of what it was like for her and her family and stuff, but I think it was just a gradual build up and stuff. Like I just can't imagine how her mum and dad felt about it, you know.
I think like maybe for the listeners and maybe people who don't really understand, like, shall I just give this is actually a great description of what anorexia is?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
And then we can talk about maybe how this could have affected your mum's cousin, really. Yeah. And anorexia often develops during the teenage years when both boys and girls become vulnerable to the impact of cultural expectations. Teen boys look at their own bodies and then compare their bodies to ripped and toned bodies they see in movies. Often these young people come up short and they become determined to change their bodies to make them conform to culture's definition of beauty. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of what we've spoken about in a few pods before this where we were talking about like society expectations.
Yeah, and I think I don't know about this, mate, but like I've never. I mean, the only time I've tried to put my body into good enough shape for something was either for sport or for when I was probably like 17, 18. I just wanted to like look bigger or something and like prove people wrong, sort of thing, because I wasn't that. But
Yeah.
like, it's until you get to the point when you just kind of go, I'm either doing this for myself and, you know what, absolutely fuck what everyone else thinks, because that's where you find happiness, you know?
Definitely, like happiness is rooted from your inner self first.
Yeah.
And if you're not happy with yourself, nobody else is going to feel happy for you. So,
man.
I mean, like, same as you, really. All of my gym interests, my sport interests, to change my body to becoming in a better shape, that hasn't been rooted from society expectations for me personally. That has been, for me, just a personal goal and something that I want to achieve. And I'm still not in the shape that I want to be. But other guys would probably look at me and think, I wish I was I don't know, it had that physique, or they might think that I don't need to change, or girls might think that, oh, you don't need to worry about yourself, which is the worst thing to hear, because then it makes it look like we're doing it for other people, but we're not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I'm just thinking about the whole anorexia thing. Is there a stat for the percentage of males that have anorexia? I should be looking at this. So, but anyway, if you looking at this article that you sent me, mate, it says the whole skinny body type of thing, lean type of look is kind of fetishized. Sort of thing.
Definitely.
And then obviously that transcends more to women. I guess if you look at magazines and Photoshop, I mean, you know better than me, but like if you look at Photoshop and stuff and what people can do in the magazines and Vogue and models and stuff, like obviously that does lean more towards women, but that's not to say that it completely negates, you know, guys and stuff. Like this whole dad bod thing, you know. Like when I first saw that, like when I was a little bit bigger, I was like, that's me.
Yeah. I think as well, like what you just said about basically women aspiring to be like these models and stuff. When guys look at that, then they think that to get this kind of girl, I need to look a certain type of way too.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate.
So then it's like, well,
it's a vicious cycle.
I've got to change. So yeah, definitely. And I don't know. It's just an unhealthy behaviour.
Well, let me tell. So on this article, it says some men may face severe abuse early in life. They may be taunted and teased about weight when they were very young boys, or they have been targets of sexual abuse or sexual harassment early in life. I won't go into the sexual abuse or sexual harassment and stuff, but in terms of like, I had a mate, right? I had a friend. Well, I've had two friends now. The first one, he was really fat, like really obese. And then he became like a bodybuilder sort of thing. So, and he's absolutely jacked. So that's like an example of like what like bullying can do to you in early. Like,
so was that because of bullying?
Yeah, 100% because of bullying, 100%. And then I had this other friend. He's incredibly intelligent guy. I think he works for Nike. He wasn't very fat, but he was just a little bit chunky. And he went away to Asia at some point. And apparently he ended up in, I don't know if this is entirely true, but he's definitely skinny now. He ended up in hospital because all he was eating, he wasn't even eating, he was just having green tea and chewing gum. I don't know, I just heard he was on something like life support, but because he was so skinny. and that's kind of, and now he's like a model for something. So you can kind of see how stuff can be kind of deep rooted and how it can transcend you into something.
I think 100%.
Yeah. And
like it says here, from changing body shape or size can also make a man feel as though he isn't subject to the abuse he felt when he was thicker, and that can be empowering too. So that it's kind of like getting rid of your flaw so nobody has anything to pick on me for.
Yeah, I mean, I got picked on like a little bit at school, not for specifically for any, like I never had body shaming ever. But I did have like standard bullying, and my way of like eating, you know, when I first started going to the gym and I was like 17, 18 and like really working out hard and stuff, that was just a bit of a middle finger sort of thing.
Yeah, it was like, well, F you, I can do this and you can't tell me any different.
And then like when you go to the gym and you get a little bit bigger and see people start complimenting you, your ego just rises and you're like,
oh, big time,
yeah. Like, oh, they're wrong. They were totally wrong. Like, look at me. Look at this, you know?
But then going on from that, we shouldn't be changing for anyone else.
Absolutely.
Obviously that's an incentive.
Yeah.
You use that torment as an incentive to, well, maybe I do need to change for myself.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, you make that change. Then you just got to do it for yourself.
There's
completely.
Absolutely nothing wrong with having like, maybe you want to go fasting as long as you don't go too extreme. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with eating healthy and eating, you know, eating a lot of protein and working out and like having a good body for yourself. But equally, there's absolutely nothing wrong with eating like a chocolate sundae every couple of days, you know, sort of thing. Just like treat yourself. Yeah.
And I don't think what we're trying to say is that if you're a bit chubby, like you need to sort yourself out, or if you're skinny, you don't look right for society. We're trying to be accepting of the fact that everybody's nutritional needs and everybody's nutritional idea of a good diet for them to be happy is different. It's all circumstantial.
Yeah, definitely. So that's anorexia pretty much. And like I feel a bit skeptical in how I can comment on how to kind of get out of anorexia. I feel super unqualified for that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is psychological, isn't it? Like a lot of people try so hard to become this skinnier person that it's like hitting a goal and thinking, I still need to do more. I think
that's the problem, mate, because from memory, it's like I saw this like depiction of like, I can't remember what it was exactly, but I think it was this girl looking in a mirror and pinching her skin, thinking it was fat and going, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And it's like, when you look at her, like, you're like, what the heck? You're so skinny. Like, you need to eat. But
yeah. And I think that's another thing, like saying things that are insensitive to people that are looking a type of way.
Yeah.
It's like what you just said, you are so skinny. The same way you just wouldn't say to a bigger person, you're fat.
Yeah.
You should not be calling a skinny person skinny, because it just makes them feel even worse.
Yeah, it does make him feel worse. It does. But like, I think if you know someone has got kind of like an eating disorder and stuff, I think approaching the situation with them is, I really don't want to comment on what you should say exactly, but you should really like kind of look into the different ways and approach them gently with it, because maybe it's your word saying you need to eat a little bit more, like, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like
but maybe even saying something so calm as that could be a trigger for them and they just won't eat.
Yeah, well, it's a difficult one, mate, because it's like, would you rather them just wither away and die, and having no one said anything to them like positive, like, you know what, you're looking in great shape, but I think you need to maybe put on a little bit more, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's that fine balance, right?
Or just encourage them by eating with them.
Yeah,
kind of
Yes.
thing, but making it so subtle that it looks like you're just doing it for the sake of yourself.
Yeah.
And you're just empathizing with the person without them knowing.
Yeah.
So make it subconscious in a sense. So like, say if there is somebody like a guy that you looks quite skinny and you think they need to like put some weight on, every time you see them, just be like, oh, do you want to go out for some food, or should we do this, or should we? Not every time. Yeah. But like make it a habit that at least you can monitor that they're eating, and it's just your peace of mind personally as a friend that you're seeing that they're actually eating.
Yeah, no,
without them thinking that you're telling them to eat.
That's actually a really good way to approach it, mate. That's really,
because then you're not really directly telling them that they should eat. You're just being you're just being the environment they need to be in.
Like, let's put it into perspective, mate. So like if I was at work with you and you saw that I was getting incredibly skinny, I think like if you said to me like at lunchtime, oh Sam, let's go and get a Nando's, or Sam, like let's do this, or Sam, like I'll buy you a meal and stuff, gradually I'd become more inclined to go out eating with you.
Because it would change your eating habit.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, you just kind of subconsciously changing it, and then you can I would be more inclined then again to go and eat out either by myself at the same places that you took me to, or with other people like family or different friends. So I think that is like the best approach.
100%. And then like you just said, you will then be conformed to eating at lunchtime a normal meal that you might even come to me in a few weeks' time and be like, oh, let's go back to this to Nando's that we went to before kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. And like, and the proof is in the pudding, because like I said, when I was in first year of uni and I didn't really, I mean, when I did eat, like I ate like a big portion, then I didn't eat for like a day or something, like, and I lost a lot of weight. And if it weren't for Nathan going, come on, Sam, I've cooked you this. Come on, Sam, like, let's go to my mum's and have some food. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'd still be that, like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I 100% understand. And I also think that when people are going through this, whether they're skinny or fat, this could be another way. Like it could be the reverse role where they're actually bigger and you just don't want to tell them that. You'd be like, oh, let's go for a walk at lunch instead of going somewhere to eat.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just a reverse thing. But what my point was going to be is when they feel that kind of way, that they're quite fat or they're quite skinny, people distance themselves.
Yeah.
So you need to create a comfortable environment where they're not reminded about how they look, but instead you're just trying to be sociable with them.
Yeah.
Because it's a form of depression, and once you become alone, you don't really feel like doing the things that you're meant to do to be healthy.
I think what we're not really speaking about here, mate, is like the knock-on effects of anorexia. So like,
yeah, that could, yeah.
Well, it's not even anorexia. So it could be just like of not eating. Like, I don't know if, I mean, obviously, you know, you are much more qualified than me to speak about this in terms of fasting. Like, how shit did you feel when you were fasting?
The thing is, you don't really. I think after years of doing it, it becomes a habit, and I don't enjoy it, but like it becomes normal to me. So the concept of fasting, and I can tell you this from experience, what happens is from however long you do it, your stomach shrinks.
Yeah.
So that when you do come to eat at the end of the day, or whenever your fasting time is, your stomach has shrunk so much that as soon as you have a tiny bit to eat, you feel full up.
Right.
Because obviously your stomach doesn't need much to be filled. So what happens is your body gets used to that, because we do it for 30 days. And fasting doesn't mean don't eat at all, or don't drink at all. It's sunrise to sunset for our religious purposes.
Right.
But there are like intermittent fasting things that people do.
2 months, 2 or 3 months, and like...
Yeah. So what I can tell you from that is just like anything, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And your body gets used to it.
Yeah.
So just like anything, sorry, I keep saying that, but if you want to start eating properly again, or you want to start losing weight, it starts from a small process of changing your lifestyle to adapt to what you need to become.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a habit, and then that habit becomes your normal new lifestyle.
Yeah, it's very true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think like we not really speaking for anorexia, but like not eating the right nutrients and stuff, or even enough, like it just makes you feel so. I told you I was in like a coma this morning because of what I was eating, and it's the same. I used to often find the same, like when I was at uni and stuff. When I wasn't eating, my body just felt so weak. I was so tired. I didn't. It was like a vicious cycle. Like I didn't want to eat, but like by not eating, it would feel worse. Like
I think, yeah, you're right. Like, once you don't eat the right meals, you become deficient in certain nutrients. So, like, say, you said you felt fatigued sometimes because you weren't eating the right things.
Yeah.
You will then go to realise that once you start eating the right foods, like veg regularly, even fruit a day, a bit of fruit a day, you'll realise how you start to feel more energetic.
Yeah. I've always had this sneaking suspicion, right? That there's been a rise in depression, right? Which is obviously going to be caused by loads of external factors that we can't even comprehend or put into like one simple study. So that'll be like, I don't know, the rise of the internet, I don't know, societal expectations, upbringing, that sort of thing, right? So there's obviously all of that, but I've got such a sneaking suspicion that it's in what we eat.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I bet you, say if we did a study and we chose 100 of our friends, not that I have 100 friends, but you know what I mean, like we chose 100 people that we know, and we conformed them to eating the same food every single day, like healthily, like a good plan, not a boring plan.
Yeah.
And we asked them how they feel at the end. They would feel 100 times better, because I bet you about 80% of them people weren't eating right before.
Yeah, well, that's really true, actually. So, I mean, I don't know how they'd scale this or measure this, so like how depressed are you, sort of thing, blah blah blah. Like, if there could even be studies on that. I'm guaranteed there probably is a study on this somewhere. So it's like you take like a pool of maybe like 100 to 1,000 people who are moderately to severely depressed, and then you put them on the same diet, sort of thing, and then measure how they feel after, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and I can guarantee, like you said, that they will feel better.
Well, it's just like, them programs like I lost 600 pounds, or my weight loss journey, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Every single episode of that I've seen, them type of programs, at the end, the person always says, I feel so much better in myself after watching what I eat and getting the right foods in. It's become a habit to me to make sure that I eat fruit and veg every day. And once that becomes a normal thing for you, your body adjusts to it, and you realise that you actually become a happier person.
Yeah, no, that's so true, mate. That's so
And do you know what? It could also be like, say you're depressed about your relationship or your job, but keeping one thing intact, like your food and your nutrition, could be the reason that you don't become depressed.
Yeah.
So it's just keeping one thing in form, really.
Yeah. Should we move on to... So that's the other side of the spectrum for anorexia, not eating necessarily. Should we move on to obesity?
Yeah.
So, I kind of...
Okay, let's talk about it first in this way.
Right.
So, often, more times than not, we probably are guilty of this as well. We look at bigger people and think, how can you get like that? Or what are you doing, kind of thing. In our heads, I mean. I'd never be the type of person to say it to someone.
No, me neither.
But often, more times than not, and I know this from not my personal experience, but people I know, family and stuff, tablets and medication could be a massive factor for someone putting on weight, because there's things in these tablets that have side effects. It stops your metabolism. Mm-hmm. It affects you in certain ways. You become fatigued. You're tired all the time, so you don't want to exercise. That is a big factor to people putting weight on. Right. And if you don't know that somebody's on medication and all you're saying to them is, oh, you need to lose weight, that is obviously going to hit them big time, because they're going to feel like, I'm trying, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, if you look at So there's a stat here from Health Survey, which was conducted in 2017, which I've just sourced here. So it says 28.7% of adults in England are obese, and a further 35.6% of are overweight but not obese. I can't really. It doesn't really say if that's like male or female sort of thing. It's just general. But there's another one here, which it says 68%. 68% of those are men, sort of thing.
Bloody hell, yeah.
52% of the UK population is overweight. So that is like if you, there's two sides of the spectrum here, mate, and you and me can differ here a little bit and stuff. So obviously, there's one side of the spectrum which is kind of there's fat shaming, which can obviously lead to people thinking, being depressed and thinking, oh, these people are harsh to me, this is bullying and stuff. And like, I'm fully against that. If you do that to someone, you're a an asshole, right? And then there's the other side of the spectrum, which you kind of have to appreciate, like, if that person keeps eating like that, it could eventually kill them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that in between. So like, you want that person to be healthy, but at the same time, you don't want to be an asshole to that person.
Yeah.
So it's that middle ground,
It's the same way as what we spoke about earlier in the pod about skinny people, about trying to get them out to eat for lunch and stuff.
Yeah.
Just say if you have a friend that lives close by that that's going through this, where they're eating too much, just every other night or every other evening, just say to them, do you fancy catching up for a bit? Let's go for a walk or something. Get them out the house. That's not telling them that they're fat. That's not saying to them, you need to lose weight. That's just telling them, I can do two things in one go. I can get active, get them mobile, and catch up with them.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to them about their problem.
Exactly. It's like it could be just something as easy as a walk or like a bike ride, or hey mate, I'm thinking of going to the gym again at some point. I'd really appreciate if you'd come with me. Like, I want to put a gym partner. Like, that could
just get their mindset. Think they might say no at first, and then come a week they might think, oh, maybe he's not doing too well on his own. Let me just join him, and I can just kill two birds with one stone. It's just instilling that mindset in someone that being active is actually a source of feeling less depressed. Yeah,
but pretty much. And like, you could even go like the full Monty. You could go the full mile. You could just say, hey mate, like I'm thinking of cooking something. Do you want anything? You know what I mean? Like that's I'll come over and I'll cook something. If we could just sit over and have like a meal or something.
Yeah, and then you can change their eating habits by cooking something healthy, and then or that could lead to, do you want to come over for some food, and then we'll go out afterwards, kind of thing. So you're kind of giving them an incentive that I'm not just asking you to come and eat and stuff. We'll go for a walk or something after and have a catch up.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want to go shopping with me, like, because this has happened to me before, because when I was eating quite unhealthily, and I mean I still do to an extent, I'd go out and I'd look at packets of like Revels, or I'd look at packets of, I don't know, like minstrels and stuff, and I can't remember who I was with, but I was picking up like a packet or so. I wasn't fat or anything, I just kind of picked it up, and then I was picking up Jaffa cakes, and they were like, why are you picking up those, mate? Like, it's going to make you feel like crap, and it's that's not nutrition. I was like, actually, fuck me, he's right.
Yeah.
What am I doing? And like a little comment like that, without fat shaming and just being like, it's a little bit unhealthy, mate. Just like, it really does go a long way, and makes you it.
And even at the time, we might think negatively about it. It probably was the right decision to just put them down and pick something else, like a cereal bar instead, or like one of them eat natural bars, or you know what I mean? Like, just making little alternative changes to what you eat. So even for people, you could be like, say you notice someone that's a bit bigger at the office, and you notice them snacking a lot, just instilling in their mind to swap out that snack for like a piece of fruit instead, and then they will make that change themselves.
It's like, I know I really struggle with it. So when we're in the office and there's like birthdays and there's cakes in the office, I literally cannot control myself. At all.
It's just willpower.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing to do. So it's like, we had old boss was quite good at this. So it's like there'd be like a cake in the office, he'd be like, "No, I'm dieting," and I was like, "How can you say no to cheesecake? Are you mental?"
Yeah.
Pretty much. What we're not talking about here, mate, is like the same with anorexia, like what obesity can do to the mind, or like actually putting on weight. It can make you from experience of like putting on weight myself, it just make you feel like lethargic, depressed, and you just feel so crap in yourself.
And then as well, often you look at yourself in the mirror and you know you're unhappy and you know you don't look great, but you just feel like, well, I've got to this point now. What difference can I make? Let me just eat some more.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's everything we've spoken about today is about mindset. It's about how you see things and what you decide to do yourself. I think the first step needs to come from your inner self to know that I need to make a change.
Yeah.
But we as friends, as supportive people around them kind of people that are suffering, need to be that guidance that let me just be more sensitive towards this person and tell them that they need to make a change.
Yeah, that's literally the best approach, mate. And I think you've done really well explaining that there.
But the worst thing you can do is keep going on about it to someone. Because if every time you speak to them, you're going to be like, oh, let's go for a walk, or you need to get out or something, they're not going to want to see you. They're going to be like, well, I don't want to go and see him because he's going to tell me to go out.
Yeah. Just approach it very calmly, and for the love of God, don't fat shame or
skinny shame. Yeah,
don't do that, because you're just a dick if you do that.
Yeah. I think, should we keep this one short and sweet? Or is there anything else you want to discuss?
I mean, we could go on to like bulimia, which kind of goes on into anorexia, but it's under the same umbrella.
I think what we're going to talk about in every problem that we discuss, it's going to lead to the same thing. It's a lifestyle change. Be supportive to, and just try and be conscious that people have feelings, and it's not always what it seems. Like, people could have problems because of medication. They could have problems because they're suffering from things at home. There's so many underlying factors, and just don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, and it's like you never really know. Like, a person could be eating like that because, I don't know, maybe they're a bit diabetic, or they can't eat certain foods. So do you know what I mean? So it's like
allergies could be a big factor.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't really know about that person. You shouldn't really judge them, because maybe, maybe it's really difficult for them. Like, I know what happened to me, right? Because my metabolism was pretty good, to be honest with you. Like, I should be much fatter, mate, considering the amount of like shit I've eaten, right? I should be much fatter. But like, when I hit 24, my metabolism just went, fuck you, have a Twix, blow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it eventually, if you keep eating crap, it will catch up to you. It will, like, you won't be able to burn it off, because age is a huge important factor.
Yeah, definitely.
That sort of thing. So
I think just like reading something negative once a day for a week, that isn't just something one a day. That is 7 things in a week that you've read that are negative. That's going to have a massive impact on you. So little things build up. Like, I've used the analogy before about a bucket of water. You could think that you're filling a bucket of water up with a little splash every single day. Come back to it in a year, you'll be overfilling that bucket. And in that form, that every little thing adding to something just makes a big difference at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay, mate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cap it off here with this. If you are feeling like crap and stuff, and you have maybe like an inkling that it's something to do with your diet, right? Obviously, if there's no external factors that come into play, say, like, I don't know, problems at home, problems at work, problems, and you can't really pick up on it. Like, I would think quite heavily about changing your diet. So it might not be anything drastic, but maybe invite like a few more fruit and vegetables, different types of meat, maybe bring in a little bit of fish, have some vitamins and stuff. So you could have like a low carb, whole food diet.
Or even just water is a big factor.
We'll get to that in a second. So like, yeah, all right, Mediterranean diet, paleo diet. Maybe you could try vegan, gluten-free. All I'm just saying is experiment. And what you are saying, Naf, and like, well, this is what we haven't spoken about here. like, let me give you an. So yeah, this is the same thing. When I was at uni, I was feeling like absolute crap, and I couldn't really figure out why. And obviously, it was partly to do with diet. My housemate came up to me and he was like, "I never see you with water. You just having tea. Like, I never ever see you with water." And I was like, "Well, what are you on about?" He was like, "I drink a gallon of water a day," and he said, "Try that for a week and to let me know how you feel." And I bought one of those, this massive gym kind of bottles.
Yeah.
And I forced myself to drink that the entire. I'll tell you, mate, the difference, like, just drinking a gallon of water is nuts.
100%. And I was the same. I didn't used to drink a lot of water, and now I drink more than enough a day. But replacing a can of Coke for a bottle of water that you would normally have in the afternoon, it makes a massive difference. You're just getting the right thing in your body instead of acidic gas and feeling like gassy and like bloated and stuff. Water goes a long way.
Yeah,
I can't stress that enough. It can get rid of headaches. I'm not saying it's a big factor, but I reckon it is one of many.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to keep bringing my mum up in this, but my mum never drinks water, like ever. She just drinks Pepsi Max like all day, every day, and she gets so many fucking headaches. And she's like, I can just never figure out why I get headaches or migraines. It's like, because you're not drinking water.
Yeah.
And it does play such an important role. Like, it's come to a point now, mate, where like I don't, unless I'm hungover or something. If I'm hungover, I'll have like a Lucozade, but normally I just have water.
Yeah,
like that.
I'm the same as well. Yeah,
Fanta, Pepsi, Coke, and it does make a huge difference.
And I think a lot of people say this to me that, I've been so used to drinking Coke every day or fizzy drink every day that if I don't drink it, I get a headache. Once you get to that point, you need to make a change.
Well, that's withdrawals, isn't it?
Yeah, it's withdrawal symptoms. So, and don't think that just because you're getting headaches because you're not drinking a can of Coke, that means you have to have a Coke. No, you need to make that change that you become used to not having Coke.
Yeah, exactly. It could be because you're getting a headache because you're dehydrated, for goodness sake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big time. I mean, I think the biggest take from everything that we've spoken about is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So just change one thing about yourself that goes towards your nutrition, and you'll notice that it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said with the diet, like, try it for a week. If you're feeling depressed and you can't pick up on why, it could be your diet. So just introduce a new food into it.
What's that thing about habits? Like, it takes how many days to change a habit or become a habit? I think doing something for 3 days in a row becomes a habit or something like that.
It takes 2 months to form a habit, technically. I think. Yeah. I think something like that. I mean, maybe that's a bit too long. Because I was thinking it was something between like 18 to 21 days for a habit, but like, I don't know. But like, let's just use that as an example. If you keep something up for 2 weeks, you won't want to resort back to anything else. It's like running. Yeah. You just get so used to it. So try a new diet for 2 weeks. And if you don't like it, sack it off and try something else until you feel better. Yeah, exactly. Because not one thing that we've mentioned today is that stuff that we've recommended might not work for everyone, but that doesn't mean that nutrition might not be the problem. That just means you need to take a different approach to it. Yeah, it's like me switching to a vegan diet just to be healthy. Like, I know I'd hate it and it wouldn't work for me. You need to be happy in what you're eating as well. Yeah, exactly. Okay, mate, should we cap it off there? Yeah, that's for nutrition. Yeah, hopefully that we've identified some issues, and maybe we've instilled in some people's mind that there's better ways to approach people that are suffering from these issues. Yeah, definitely. And for yourself personally as well, look up diets, introduce new foods, just really look after yourself. Just make sure that you don't make it a chore and you make it something that you actually enjoy, because as soon as it becomes a chore, you just won't want to do it. Yeah, exactly. And learn to cook, for goodness sake. Yeah, definitely. Big time. Yeah, and that's something I'm guilty of as well. So don't feel alone in that. I'm an terrible cook. So, but you know what? I'll join you, and we can cook together.
We're in this together. No one's alone.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, well, that's that for nutrition. We wanted to touch on something quickly about feedback, Sam.
Yeah. Okay, mate. So we've got feedback, and we've had a couple of people message through over the past couple of weeks, but. Freddie, I'll just call you out here on Twitter, Freddie Cocker. So he said, let me just look through the feedback, Naf. He really likes it, and he says we've got like a different approach to most mental health podcasts, which we thought was just absolutely amazing, and that's kind of what we were gunning for here. Obviously, you want to have your own unique selling point, but it equally is absolutely fantastic that there's so many podcasts doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what he said, what we're doing is pretty solid. But one thing I will comment on is the. He said we need to remove the interruptions of the ums and ahs. I think our approach really is to be authentic and a bit raw.
Yeah, I quite like. That it's not completely perfect, because I think that kind of gives the viewers the thought that it's kind of personal to us as well. Yeah,
and I feel like if we're cutting and pasting too much, then do you know what I mean? There's authentic and mental health. They're very close. Do you know what I mean? So it's like about being open.
Yeah.
And if we're cutting and pasting, I feel like we're being a bit fake.
I just don't want to polish it too much.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but no, anyway. But anyway, thank you, Freddie. Like, it's really, really helpful for the feedback, and I'm glad you like what we do. And if you could subscribe,
that's a big thing. Like, remember to check us out on our social channels. They are in the description below. Like we are active on most, so follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on Just Mates Pod. And if you are listening to us on YouTube, we are Just Mates Podcast. Please like and subscribe. We just want the content to get out there and hit as many ears as possible, because I've spoken to a few different people, new people, like random people, and they have benefited from it, and they've noticed that little clips here and there from the podcasts have made them feel better.
Yeah, and I think like being on Twitter and stuff, and I went on like a bit of a follower frenzy with everyone who is kind of involved in mental health and the kind of advocates on the male side of things. There's like I've said before, there's similar people doing kind of what we're doing, and we're not negating anything that these guys are doing. Like it's fantastic, like it's brilliant that we're all doing this, because we all form under the same umbrella and cause. And if you yourself are listening and you know talk, me and Naf always say this, that talking things out is the best approach. So maybe you could do something like we do. Maybe you could raise money. Maybe you could come on our podcast, do your own thing, have your own little creative whiz, and just have a go and have a crack and just talk about it.
Because at the end of the day, me and Sam, I always say this and it sounds cheesy and cringy, but we are just mates. And that's what it started from. It's from being friends. And we are just two guys talking about common issues that should be spoken about more. And if you feel like you can benefit society and the environment by putting your own little twist on something, just do it, because you don't know how many people you'll be helping.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're in your house, knock on your dad's door, or if you're in, I don't know, like a room like I am, go and speak to someone like, hey mate, you free for like 5 minutes? You never really know what could happen, you know?
Yeah. And I've been in so many situations myself where the little 5-minute chat here and there has made a big difference on someone else.
Yeah, it's like with my I was out to the pub with my housemate the other day, and he was like, are you all right, mate? And just those couple of words, and I explained to him, it took me 1 minute what was going through my head. He was like, if you ever need me, just come into my room and talk to me.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just about being supportive, really. And
Yeah.
like there'll be days where Sam, we don't talk much, but every single day I've noticed we exchange a message or two, and we, even if it's just a simple like how you doing, like you've done it to me so many times and I felt shit, and you've messaged me and it's just made me feel a little bit better that someone's out there like checking up on me.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long, man.
No.
It doesn't take long.
No one's asking you to go into depth about whatever you're going through, but just mentioning someone, just letting them know your mental state, it just helps.
Yeah, and it's definitely helped me, and I know it's helped you. So
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been Nafees.
I've been Sam,
and this is Just Mates podcast. We'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.